So let's do a disassembly on this knife. This is, of course, what we've been talking about. It's not intuitive how to disassemble this because obviously there's no external hardware at all. When I first looked at this, I did see, hopefully we can get this on camera, there is a screw, it's a T8 screw right at the bottom, like not on the back spacer because it doesn't have one, but on the clamshell here. Focus. Not sure why we're not focusing, but so I have experience with another knife that used that same system, and but that one actually had a pivot screw, so I was able to do that one. This one, no visible pivot screw. So what I ended up doing was sending an email to Poikilo support asking if they could explain how I could open this. And fortunately, they were very responsive and got back within a day and told me how to do it. So here's the deal. I'm probably going to need a flashlight here, so hold on just a second. When you look inside this section here, that's on the show side of this insert. Hopefully I can show this. How am I going to get, okay, right there. You see that little hole? What you need to do is get in there with something to just sort of poke this out, because there's kind of a little detent in there. The first time I did this, just to see if I could get it off, was I just used a bent piece of titanium wire. You could also use a bent paper clip. You know, just take the end of the paper clip and just sort of bend it into a little L shape. It occurred to me after I did it the first time that I have this little set of dental tools that I use for just these sort of weird things. So what I have now is just this, the tip of this, and it's just going into that little hole, and I push, oops, and I push, oh, okay, so it already sprung that, and you can see now how there's this sort of gap here. So once you've sprung that little detent, then you're just gonna slide this up, and voila, this comes off and it reveals your pivot screw. FYI, this is a T15 screw here, and you can see this sort of detent arrangement that they've devised. Pretty darn clever, I think. So yeah, once you do that, now we can go in and hit that screw, and since I have my flashlight, maybe we'll be able to see it now. Yeah, I think you can see that sort of right at the bottom. This can be an issue, like if you typically use this sort of screwdriver, you know, just you're not going to be able to get all the way down there to it. I have another set that uses, I think, a 1/4-inch drive, and that was able to get in there. But I actually went on Amazon and bought this T8 driver just for these sorts of knives, and that's really the best way to go about it. So you're just gonna, you know, loosen this screw. It's just counterclockwise, a number of turns. I don't know exactly how many, but I think that's enough. And then, I don't know why this camera seems to have moved. All right, so now let's just take out the pivot screw. And now, let me adjust my camera. Pardon my earthquake here. I don't know why that's moving. Okay. Hold on. My mount is shaky. Center that. Enter. Is that going to work? We'll see. All right. Anyway, so now you should be able to take this apart. And indeed, so just doing a little bit of wiggling. Aha! So there we have it. That is how you disassemble this knife. And so once we have it open, you can see that there is a lot of weight relief here. And you can see, let me take the blade out. You may be thinking that these are skiff bearings here, but they are not. They're actually very high quality bearings that are made by Poikilo, and very much similar to skiffs in that they're not stamped. You know, it's a solid brass cage. So impressive there. And let me see if I can sort of show you how this screw works here. I have to get pretty close to it. Hopefully you can see that there's sort of a ledge or a little lip here. And what that does is grab the piece, this piece on the opposite side, and just sort of, when you tighten it, it just pulls the scales together. So another pretty darn clever method. While I have this open, I'm going, oops, this whole thing just dropped out, didn't it? That's scary. So how did that go? I guess it just fits in here like that. Hopefully. Let me get, this is pissing me off that this keeps moving. It's hard to get enough. Yeah, as I said, it's hard to keep this thing from bending, but so I'm just going to get a cloth with some alcohol on it and just get a little oil on this knife before I put it back together, even though it's already pretty clean. So just clean these bearings off. Is there anything there? No. I mean, this knife is practically brand new. I've carried it for a couple days and have not, been cutting any dirt or anything. So that's good. Clean the washers, clean the detent ball, clean the lock face. All in all, it was pretty clean. So now I'm just going to use my traditional 10 weight nano oil. Put a drop on this washer, put a drop on that washer. Put one of the bearings on. Give it a little spin. Put the blade oil. So yeah, we'll put a drop over here. Spread it. We'll drop on the detent track. And we'll place the blade in here as pieces go flying everywhere. Not sure what's going on here. It's not moving freely. Guess that's it. Put this back over here. Okay, so put a drop over here. The other bearing. Is that? Yeah, it's locking up. Okay, so Now we'll just put this back together, hopefully. Gonna line up, you got a bunch of pins on the top side here. So we gotta make sure that they engage, which they have. And then I'm going to put in my pivot screw. Again, T15, just as a reminder. All right, before I tighten that other thing, I'm just going to get the right centering. So I'm just sort of squeezing it shut just with my hand. And that is right on center. Moving nicely. So now what you do is you're just going to slide this back in here. You see these little tabs on here? Hold on before I do this. Let me get real close. See the tabs? So those just slide in to this bolster area, and you have to sort of put some little pressure on it to depress that metal tab in there, and then it just sort of slides in. And it's not all the way in. I'm trying to, well, I guess you can push it by hand. First time I had to sort of, I'll show you in a second, centered. The first time this was not going all the way in, so I just sort of put it on a piece, wood table or something, and just sort of gave a little shove so it clicked into place. And I think it is in place now. So it is. Oh, forgot to tighten this up. Hearing a little rattle there. That would be why. So now we just put the screwdriver back in here, tighten up the screw that holds the back of the scales together, and yeah, now we're cooking with grease. Whoa, there goes the nano oil. All right, so I hope you get that. I think it's once you understand how this all works, it's not that difficult, but you will need a couple possibly unusual tools that you don't normally need, but they're things that you can work around or purchase for a cheap price anyway. So let's get back to the review. So I was originally planning to include this with the knife review, but because it was looking like it was going to go pretty long, I just decided to do a separate video for the disassembly. So sorry for the confusion.